Welcome. I'm Diane Marie Collins, and today I'm visiting with Wayne Cockburn, President and CEO of iTech Medical. Welcome, Wayne.
Thanks, Diane. It's great to be here.
Thank you. What do the next 6, 12, 24 months look like for you? How and where are you focusing your efforts?
Well, for the next 6 months, we're focusing our efforts on doing some clinical studies in Utah. We're going to be expanding into California and possibly Michigan to prepare the work that we need for our first FDA filing. We're hoping to have that done within the next 6 months. The following 6 months, we'll be doing our independent clinical study, which will likely be carried out in the same areas, in the same sites, but we may be expanding it to 2 or 3 other hospitals as well too. And the idea during that 6-month period is to independently document the effectiveness of the NPR system looking at these strain sprain type injuries. The following 12 months is really when we do the commercialization. And initially we're going to be starting in Europe, and if I can backtrack a little bit, we're actually going to be starting that work in our second 6-month period while we're doing the clinical study in North America. It will give us an opportunity to really test the system in a real world environment over there while we're still doing the independent clinical study in North America. It will also let us to sort of build up a little bit of momentum so that once the independent clinical study is done, we will have effectively launched in Europe. So going out 6 months, 12 months, at the end of 12 months, once we've completed the independent clinical study, we'll be taking the results and we'll be submitting them for publication into peer-reviewed journals for physicians to read about, to learn about the system. We will also be making a second filing with FDA to expand the marketing claims of our system, of the NPR system. And then we plan on rolling it out. There's been a number of companies that we've been in discussions with now for the past year or so that have expressed a very, very keen interest in using the system within their organization. These people have used it in the past. They're actually very excited about us being able to bring it back into the marketplace. And so we expect that within a very short period of time following the completion of the clinical study that we will be in the marketplace with a good half dozen very, very large customers. And so as I say, the first 12 months is more or less our clinical study FDA work. Second year, commercialization of the system here and in Europe.
I've been reading a lot about iTech Medical in the media. You've had a recent update. Tell me about that.
Yes, we just issued a press release updating people on the results of the clinical study to date. Really the tenor of the press release is that the patient recruitment has been very, very strong. As a matter of fact, there's currently a 2-week waiting list for people to get in on the study, which in a way is not that surprising given the prevalence and the interest in back pain, back and neck pain. The strength of the recruitment has been so strong that we are planning on expanding the clinical study into California now. We've actually got one site that's agreed to do it, and in the past week we've identified a second site that's very interested. In fact, they want to come in before the first site. But for companies like ours that are involved in developing medical products, patient recruitment can sometimes be a problem because other companies are competing for the same patients. So the fact that we've got such strong patient recruitment going into our independent clinical study, which is that second 6-month period that I talked about, is going to help us in a couple of areas. One, it may help us complete that independent study much sooner and get to FDA sooner for product release. The other thing that is going to help us is in the European market as well too, because with the internet and the global interest in back and neck pain, the strength of our patient recruitment and the interest that we already have in Europe, we expect is going to lead into early commercialization opportunities in Europe. We plan on doing a very, very small study in Europe because that's all really that's going to be required to get the product into the marketplace. But we expect to actually commercialize this system in Europe before we do over in North America. And as a result of that, what we've done, iTech Medical is a public company. Our shares are currently traded on the OTC Bulletin Board exchange right now. We just recently listed the shares on the Frankfurt exchange, and we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One is, and I come back again to the European interest in the European commercialization, is that we see some of the early commercial opportunities being across the Atlantic as opposed to here. And we currently have a large number of European shareholders. And the 6-hour time difference in the markets makes a difference to people, to investors. And so having the shares listed in the European market and the US at the same time just helps us gain more interest, if you will, in the company. We also plan on looking at some other exchanges as well too. Again, as the company continues to grow and we continue to attract more interest and a larger shareholder base, we're going to look at moving the stock onto a larger exchange. We're looking currently at the American Stock Exchange. The NASDAQ small cap represents an interesting opportunity for us. The TSX Venture in Canada. So that's all part of our growth strategy. But Europe, I think the European opportunities are going to be the low-hanging fruit for us.
Well, that's excellent. You've actually answered my last question, is what is your plans? Let's take it one step further. Your plans for new products and licensing and M&A and so on.
That's a great question. I've almost got two answers for that, because the muscle pattern recognition technology, the MPR technology, actually has a number of different applications we believe that it can be used for as well too. So not just for neck and back pain, but there's a possibility that it could also be used in looking at shoulder pain or carpal tunnel syndrome, or perhaps even pre and post-op for people with knee problems as well too. And so we've already started to look at that area, but so even with our core technology, even though it's maybe viewed as one product, in fact, this is one application for the back and the neck. There may be a number of different applications, but we also plan on expanding the product portfolio of the company as well too. We've assembled a very, very strong development team, not just on the research and development team, but also on the clinical and regulatory side. And there's a lot of interesting technologies that are being developed in the universities and the research centers. It's interesting, over the last 18 months, we've been approached by 2-3 companies that were interested in licensing their technology to us, which is interesting because one of the reasons that they're coming to us is that they see the strength in our management team and our ability to develop these products, to take it from discovery, early development stage, to actual commercialization. The other thing too is, being a public company, we have the ability to fund development of new products by going out and raising money through the public marketplace. So we plan on looking at the additional applications of the MPR technology, but we're also planning on looking at other technologies that they may or may not complement MPR technology, but they'll certainly complement the management team and the expertise that we have in-house.
Of iTech Medical.
Of iTech Medical.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Wayne, for spending some time with me.
Well, thank you very much, Deanne. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.